Hi, I'm Marcel, and welcome to me screaming into the void, mostly about books. I am doing Criminal's Read What You Own challenge, and this time I have read Stoner by John Williams. So this book, very shortly, is about the life, pretty much, of a literary professor from the time he starts studying literature until he dies. So we get his accomplishments at work and his accomplishments at home. And it's a bit funny because it's rarely that I have argued so much with my husband about a single book. My husband loves this book. He really likes it. He talks about the way what he interpreted, what he thinks the book is about, is that Stoner doesn't really have a very good life. It's okay, because most of our life is okay moments, and a lot of bad things happen because a lot of bad things happen in life. But what then Stoner does, or this book does, according to my husband, is that it highlights all of the wonderful small things that makes life worth living. So, for example, the scenes with his daughter, or the scenes with his dissertation, or the joy that the main character, who is named Stoner, ergo the title, gets from being a farm boy and then at some point holding his dissertation lovingly in his hand, not really believing that this was ever a possibility for him. So that's sort of the interpretation my husband had. When I first started reading it, I really liked it as well. I didn't necessarily think of it as the small moments that happened throughout our life. I thought of it more as play. What I mean with play is the understanding of what gives life meaning. So the difference here, I think, between my husband and I's interpretation is that my husband focuses on how this is small moments in our lives. Well, I think it more as, well, what drives us, what motivates us. So more the active parts of our life, up until one point. So I'm going to try and not spoil it, but I am going to have to talk about something that happens in the book. So I've read this book in the sense that he found literature, and literature was what gave him meaning. So every time he was down and out, he turned to literature because literature is what sort of motivates him to move on. And then he has troubles at work, and I'm not going to spoil what that is, and he becomes depressed, which is fine. I absolutely yes, you should be depressed in a situation like that. But then something happens, and what happens is that rather than turning to literature to bring back his surviving sort of joy, he gets a mistress. And the mistress is someone who then motivates him to start focusing on literature and work and research and all that good stuff. But that comes through his mistress. And that annoyed me. Honestly, that almost ruined the book for me, because up until this point, everything was pointing that literature because everyone has some sort of play in their life, is what's going to sort of calm him down. But then sort of suddenly this thesis that this book had presented turned into, no, his mistress is going to be the one that saves him this time. And I don't know why. And I was so confused when it happened, and I was so angered when it happened, because everything that happened after the mistress was introduced is now then contextualized with it being focused around the mistress. Everything it does everything has then sort of, oh, it's about the mistress. It's about what happened with the mistress and all of that. And the focus then stops being about the literature and just about mistress, because he's a middle-aged man. Why not? So, and I could, in some sense, have bought my husband's interpretation more if he had had other scenes before the mistress was introduced to then show that, no, it's not just literature. It's other scenes as well. Have him have a scene with an ailing parent where he has to go back to the farm and help them because one of the parents are dying. And he sits there with their dying parent who doesn't understand anything of what he is doing, but is just still loves them because it's their kid. If something like that had been present before the mistress was introduced, I would have understood that, oh, it's about the small moments, and the point with the mistress hadn't been so dominating as it became. But up until that point, it was just literature, literature, literature. A bit about his daughter at some point, but just literature until mistress. So, yeah. And it's so bad because if the point with the mistress, if that part had been cut out, had not been present, brilliant book, absolutely brilliant book. But because the part with the mistress is there, everything is then really recontextualized thematically. Even the parts before that, because the theme of the book, as I've read it, was literature for him, because that is his form of play, will be something that grounds you in your ups and downs, which is a part of life. But it turns out he just hadn't met the right woman yet. Yeah, I got really mad at this book. And if you disagree, because I know that a lot of people loved this book. My husband really, really enjoyed this book. Leave the comments down below and explain why you enjoyed this book as much as you did. I am happy to hear other opinions on this book. So that was the next the book I've read for Criminal Read What You Own. And now I have the rest of my books that are wrapped up in a newspaper and given all a number, because the project is to read books that I own before buying some new books. I am going on vacation, so I am going to be away from home for quite some time. So I'm going to now pick 4 books that I am going to bring with me on vacation, and I'll present all of the 4 books in my next Read What You Own books, because otherwise it would just be a long gap, and I need things to read. Can't help it. It's my form of play. So I'm now going to pick out 4 numbers from this little jar, and then I am going to unwrap 4 books, and I'll show you what it is. So 1, 2, 3, and number 4. And the first book is number 33. So give me a moment and I'll find 33. This is book 33. And it's Judith Butler's Gender Trouble. This is probably her most known book. I have been wanting to read I've read sort of parts of her work before, but this is brilliant timing with just sitting and reading Judith Butler at my cabin, which is where I'm going to spend my holiday. My second book I am going to read is, okay, right side up, 67. So I'll just find book 67. This is 67. Yeah. Oh, it's one of those little black books. The Suffragettes. Yeah. Brilliant timing of the Judith Butler book. So this is small text. I'm just going to see if they are... Yeah, so this is just text that has been written in regard to the suffragette movements. So it was funny timing to have that while also reading Judith Butler. The third book I'm going to read is 17. Give me a moment. Number 17. Oh! This is the Chocohole Company by Abba Rasul. I don't really know much about this author or this book. I'm just trying to briefly read on the back of the book, on the blurb, to give a whole an understanding of it. It looks like it's... I have no idea what this book is about. I can't really get an idea of what this book is about. I don't recognize the author. So this is going to be fun and interesting to see what is this book actually about. And I'll let you know when I come back. And the fourth and last book I'm going to bring with me on my holiday is 84. So, last book, 84. And I asked my husband, and all of the numbers are just randomized. So he just picked out 100 books and then randomly gave them numbers. So it's not like he picked out number 17 before number 81. So this book, Lars Svensson, it's called Stupidity, Idiocracy, and Stupid Idiots. And it's a book about thinking critically by going through philosophical history, due to us being in a time with algorithms where people are very easily on a form of bandwagon. So that was the 4 books I am going to read while I'm on my trip. For Read What You Own, and subscribe to see what I thought about the books. And thank you for listening to me screaming into the void.